competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
All right, I'm on the road again. Do-doom, do-doom, do-doom. I'm on the road again. Do-doom, do-doom, do-doom. There's something happens when I step out the door and go on a journey on the road. It's like something shifts in me. Like I enter a different realm. It doesn't take long. It's actually just put on the backpack or get that sense that I am going somewhere. This physical body is moving from one place to another. I think it started when I traveled around the world for 80 weeks when I was in my 20s. In those days, it took a while. Coming to India, it took about 2 months, I think, something like that, 2 months. I had this period of getting into the feeling of being on the road. And for quite some time, it's been that sort of, if I spend 2 months or more in a place, then that gives me the feeling that I'm there. If I've been in a country for 2 months or more, then I've lived in that country. Shorter than 2 months, it's more like, okay, I visited, but 2 months is some sort of a magic limit or border that I pass. But then somehow this that sort of became more of a concept, whereas the feeling of being on the road or being on a journey, that came quicker and quicker. So I went to India for 2 weeks about 10 years ago, and that was enough. It was more than enough. Actually, as soon as it's especially when the backpack comes on. I mean, the backpack, that has a certain magic to it. It's like a magic backpack. Putting that on, that's loaded with a lot of road energy. Hitchhiking, that's another excellent way of coming on the road. Hitchhiking, I've been hitchhiking in Germany and Finland primarily. When I was hitchhiking in Finland, it was quite fun. I'd just been to Denmark at this lovely gathering with a lot of workshops. And before the gathering, I looked at all the workshops, and there was one that I thought that, well, I'm going to go to a few workshops. Definitely not that one. It was a clown workshop. It was something along the lines of embracing the idiots we truly are. And I thought, no, that's the one I'm not going to. But then I ended up talking to the people leading the workshop, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go to that. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. And at that workshop, I got a clown nose, like a red nose, which I brought along to Finland. And so I was hitchhiking at one point when I was in Finland, outside of some Finnish city, perhaps Tampere or something. and nobody stopped for quite a long time. And I was happy standing there by the roadside, but nobody stopped. And after an hour or an hour and a half, I thought I'd spice it up a little. So I put on the clown nose. And I can tell you this, it did not make people stop. In fact, they were driving faster by. They were speeding up and going away from the side as if I would be jumping into their cars with my clown nose. Yeah, something about clowns makes people scared, which is kind of weird, I guess. I used to not like clowns at all. And I talked to those people about that. Why don't I mean, I don't like clowns. And they said, yeah, because you haven't seen any funny ones. And it's true, I tell you. Clowning can be really, really a lot of fun if it's done in the right way. So what is the right way, you may ask? And there is a connection here. The right way to clown is very similar to being on the road. And what connects these two? Well, what connects these two is being in the moment, here and now. That's probably what I love about really living, being in the moment. And both clowning and being on the road, it's about improvising, being fully present. Same as anything worth doing is an improvisation. It's about being in the moment. I get messages here. I can't look at messages. I'm on the road. I don't have room for reading messages. No, I have to keep my eyes on the road. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. I'm sorry, I can't look at the messages. I get messages here and I can't look at them. No, I'm a responsible traveler. So that's how it goes. Yeah. So it's very much about being present to whatever happens. In this case, messages coming while driving. So should I pull over and read the messages? I guess I could do that. But there is nowhere to stop here. No, then I can't do it. Adapting moment by moment. Of course, there is also this sense of curiosity, being in the moment. Now I'm curious about what these messages were. What is happening right now? What is happening right now to you who are watching this? If you really pay attention, are you paying attention? Are you on the road? There is another aspect of this. It's about shoulds. What should you do? Before I got on the road, I was living with a lot of shoulds. Should do this, should do that. But being in the moment, there is no should. There is only be. It's a little bit like do or die, I would say. Do it. Do or do not. Like Yoda says. What can you do? I think what you can do really is to remove yourself from the equation, as they say in Tron 2, wonderful movie. To allow the road to take you where it takes you. or a river for that matter. A river has a more flowing sense, whereas the road, a little bit more static in that it's hard, asphalt or possibly concrete. Are you paying attention right now? There is this book called On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which was a very important book in the 60s for the Beat generation, sort of generation marker. And I read that when I was in India, that first time when I was traveling for 4 months. I actually didn't read all of it. Maybe I should read the rest of it, but I read about half of it. And one thing I remember in particular was that they were really present. They were having a conversation. One part of the book, they're having a conversation about something, and they're talking about a conversation they had earlier, 2 weeks before, and singling out a detail that they were talking about and remembering vividly what they were meaning at that time, which really made sense to me and the person I was traveling with when we read that, because that was exactly the feeling we had. It's this heightened awareness and heightened memory as well, heightened perception, but remembering details, remembering without effort. It's just there. I was originally planning to take the train on this trip I'm on right now. I was, but things happened, so I had to take the car instead, which is, it's quite new to me. I'm not very, I don't drive very often, and especially alone at night like this, very rarely I drive. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. It is a different kind of being on the road. When the backpack comes on, or the clown nose for that matter, there is a certain sense of abandonment. I'm abandoning myself to the journey, to the road. Whereas when I'm driving right now, in this moment, I constantly have to be focused. My mind has to be sharp. I mean, maybe it's just a very small percentage of the brain, the reptilian brain, which is sort of keeping the car steady on the road, no disaster happening, no emergency, no accidents. But still, I have to be focused. I can't just let go completely. Which makes me think of the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the basic discourse that explains yoga, and the 8 limbs of yoga, one of which is concentration of the mind, which comes before associations in the mind, which I think is quite interesting. My personal journey has been the opposite. First associations and then concentration of the mind. I guess there are pros and cons to both, but in the ancient yogic scripture, it's first concentration of the mind, then associations. And the way I understand it is that by learning to concentrate the mind, then we have created a foundation upon which we can then, or from which we can then expand without risking losing our grounding, without dissociating. from the moment, from the here and now. One thing that really helped me with that was working with railways. For 8 years, I worked in the railway industry. That's a very grounding experience, I can tell you, in several ways, both literally and metaphorically speaking. I'm putting up copper wire at the catenary posts. That's earthing. In Swedish, earthing and grounding is the same word. I guess in English there are two words for that, but both are about connecting to the ground, connecting to the earth, making sure that things are like a tree, grounded, rooted. So working with railways was a very grounding experience. So I think that was helpful in many ways to really have this concentration of the mind. Much as now driving the car, as I was saying, requires a certain sense of focus, certain sense of, okay, I'm holding the wheel. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel, as I mentioned earlier. It's still valid. I've heard that song so many times, and I really like it. But this is the first time I'm actually driving while singing it. It's nice. Good old Jim Morrison. May he rest in peace. I'm not sure he learned to concentrate his mind as much as he might. Maybe I should have. I think he was associating quite widely in these days. And there is a certain attraction of that too. So, what is freedom? I mean, being on the road, this backpack version of being on the road, that has probably been my symbol of freedom for many, many years. Which goes back to when I first went on this trip around the world. That was the step into freedom. And then coming back and sort of building a life with all that entails, family, education, supporting the family. That certainly requires a sense of focus of the mind. It's really interesting. I haven't thought about this before. So this means that I am on the road as we speak, or as I speak. Yeah, that was a speed camera. Those are a little bit tricky. This road I'm driving, it's changing all the time. Sometimes it's like a freeway, highway, autobahn. Sometimes it's going through small villages, and the speed limit is changing up and down and up and down. Something else just struck me, and that one difference between the backpack and the car is that with the backpack, with this abandonment of the backpack, there's sort of more of a rebel feeling. Whereas with the car, it's more like especially with all these speed cameras all the time. Here's another one. They just put them everywhere, probably because people here drive like mad people. But doing that, it's like, okay, I'm in the matrix. I have to abide by the rules or accept the consequences. So where is freedom in that? Can there be freedom in the matrix? I think there can be, as long as we are aware that we are in the matrix. We are in a system. Actually, we are not in a system, we're in many systems. The body is also a system. Can I be free if I have a body? I suppose it's the answer is to a certain extent. Which makes me think of when I studied law, when you get a question, a law-related question, the answer is always, it depends. Det beror på. That's the standard answer a lawyer will give you, regardless of what law-related question you ask. Because there are so many bylaws or adages or exceptions. So it can be one way, but it can also be another way. Like right now, for instance, I'm in some small town and I have to drive really slow. But it's kind of exciting. It's much more fun than the freeway, which was before. It's slower, that's true. Here it's 50 kilometers per hour, and that is actually pushing it. I think 40 or 35 is more sort of tuning into the place. It's much more interesting. Yeah. Slow traveling. I love slow traveling. I really love traveling slowly. That's one of the things I love about traveling with trains in India. It's really slow. It's really slow. I mean, the fast train, it goes like 80 kilometers per hour or something. Nowadays, I'm sure there are some faster trains. But when I was there was like the express train, 80. And that's still pretty fast. You know, when the first trains were going 50 kilometers per hour, people really upset. They thought that, no, a lot of people were afraid that this would, destroy the health of people. People are not meant to go faster, like 50 kilometers per hour. That is not for humans, they were saying. People are going to become very ill or die or something. 50. So here's another speed camera. Yeah. So things change, perspectives change. Like now I'm outside of a town. It's kind of exciting too, but we're speeding up. Hmm. Hmm. Are you paying attention right now to what goes on? Am I paying attention right now to what goes on? Is that Is attention something which is on or off? Or is it a more gradual thing? Like awareness? Perhaps it's not so much about if there is attention or not attention, it's more how much attention and how intelligently it's focused. Like when I'm playing music, earlier tonight, I was in another city leading a dance class, playing different instruments. And so I have one hand, I have a shaker egg. With the other hand, I was playing the djembe drum. Around one foot, I had some rattles. Around the other foot, I have some other rattles, and doing different rhythms, and every now and then shouting something or saying instructions to the dancers or singing along. That really makes me focused. It really puts me here and now, because I have to concentrate. It's not like the forced concentration, like, oh, I want to concentrate. No, that's not it. It's more like there's so much going on that I have to relax and trust that this is happening through me more than I'm doing it all by myself. I'm doing it all by myself. No, I'm allowing it to happen through me. Maybe that could be a point of concentration. How much freedom can I allow in my life for myself and from people that I meet? How much freedom can I hold? How much freedom can I embrace and experience? What if it is the other way around? What if it is about allowing that freedom to present itself? So how is it then with this connection between the backpack and the car? How is it to be fully free and fully focused? I really don't think that those two exclude each other. Or rather, it depends. I see a lot of people who are, this stereotype of someone who concentrates, who frowns, as we were saying before. But a monk, a meditative monk, is also someone who is very, very concentrated. But there is no frown. It's just a very calm forehead, flat, smooth. This makes me think of an Iron Maiden song. It's called Wasted Years. Because I'm driving by another city. The lyrics go, At one point the lyrics go, another city goes by in the night. Ain't it funny how it seems? Then I don't remember. Anyway, it's called Wasted Years, and the lyrics are, it's basically about stop wasting your time longing for years that have gone by and feeling that those are wasted. And it's a very simple message, really. But I think it has a point to a lot of people, and I myself included have spent time thinking thoughts like, oh, what if I would have, or blah 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 blah, what would have happened if? And I would say that that is a very human thing to do, but that is not being on the road. Going in that direction is not being on the road, because being on the road requires you to be present and focused. That's those kind of thoughts, they really take you into the ditch. And that happens sometimes. It's not the end of the world. Well, it could be the end of your life if you drive really fast into a ditch, that's for sure. But as long as you don't do it too badly, as long as you don't lose it completely, then going a little bit off the road and then getting back on the road, it's not the end of the world. In fact, maybe that is also the road. What if the road is always where I am, under my foot? What if that is where the road is? Imagine that perspective. I am always on the road. Wow. I've always been on the road. I always am on the road. So it's more about tuning into a certain state of mind, this on the road state of mind. And what can I create or allow to be in my life so that I get that feeling more and more often? Yeah. Now I think we're getting somewhere. Because I mean, if I have to do a certain thing to come into a certain state of mind, it sounds awfully a lot like a dependence, like addiction. Oh, I have to drink alcohol to dance. Well, that does, I mean, if you say that to yourself, then you make it true. But what if that is not the case? What if instead, how about this? Let's embrace, I am always here and now. I am always here and now. It sounds true. It almost sounds trivial almost, but it's deep. Yeah, I am always here and now. And how can I support myself so that they understand that I am, in fact, always here and now? Okay, now there is construction work, which means again I have to slow down. And again, it makes things exciting, because now quite literally I will have to go off the road I am on to the other side of the road. where the traffic goes in the opposite direction, which is typically not something you want to do, but now these arrows are pointing for me to do that. So I have to really pay attention. Okay. I have to really pay attention when the road is bumpy to realize that, yes, this is the road. This is the road. It's still here. It's right here where I am. All right. I just, just going through that, I feel tension in my shoulders. It's really, it means that I'm alive. Yes, I'm alive. Wow. That's so cool. I'm alive. I'm alive. Yeah. Wow, this place I'm coming to now has a really strange name. Its name means something like bird's nightmare in English. How can you come up with a name like that? Bird's nightmare. Maybe someone had a really strong astral projection here and became a bird, and then had a really difficult bird experience. And then they came back and it's like, oh, wow, I was a bird and it was really scary. Yeah, let's call this place Bird's Nightmare. Yeah, let's do that. And thus it was that this name got its place. Or this place got its name. Oh, this was lovely. This was lovely. Being on the road and talking about being on the road while being on the road and experiencing the road and sharing it with you here now. The only moment we can ever know. Now. The only place we can ever be. Here. All right. Now I'm getting out on the freeway again. Still quite a long way to go. But that's okay. That's okay. And now I have to slow down. No, it's always new adventures. Always new adventures. Speeding up, speeding down. So one thing especially I want you to remember, and for me to remember, us all to remember, when the road gets bumpy, that's when we must pay extra attention to stay on the road. Yes. Remember.
We are creating the world we're now living in. We are competing in. We are repeating in. We are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.